The day I decided to do a dopamine detox, I genuinely believed my brain was damaged. Not medically damaged, but modern life damaged. I couldn't focus like I used to. I would open my phone without thinking. I'd sit down to work and somehow end up checking something for just a second. And even after a full day, I felt mentally tired without doing anything meaningful. Everywhere I looked, people were saying the same thing. You fried your dopamine. You're overstimulated. You need a reset. Quit everything. And it made sense. We wake up and check our phones. We scroll while eating. We watch something while working. We listen to something while walking. Silence almost feels illegal now. So I thought, maybe that's the problem. Maybe my brain forgot how to operate without constant stimulation. So I made a decision. 7 days. No social media, no YouTube, no music, no junk food, no random scrolling, no quick dopamine hits. Just work, gym, reading, sleep. That's it. The first day felt powerful. I put my phone in a drawer, turned off notifications, cleared my desk. I felt like I had taken control back. There was this quiet confidence in knowing I wasn't being pulled by anything. The second day was different. The silence started feeling heavier, not peaceful, heavy. I would sit at my desk and my brain would look for something, not a specific app, not a specific video, just something, a small hit of stimulation. Even background music felt tempting. I told myself, no, stay disciplined. By the third day, something strange happened. I wasn't distracted anymore, but I also wasn't sharp. Work felt slower. Gym felt less exciting. Even finishing tasks didn't feel satisfying. It was like the color had slightly drained from everything. And that's when doubt crept in. I had removed all the bad dopamine, so why didn't I feel super focused? Why didn't I feel motivated? Instead of becoming this hyper-productive machine, I felt flat. And I remember sitting at my desk in complete silence, staring at my screen, thinking, wait, if dopamine is motivation, and I removed all stimulation, did I accidentally remove the fuel too? That question bothered me because nobody online talks about this part. They show the aesthetic detox, the clean desk, the monk mode routine, the 5 a.m. wake-ups, but they don't talk about the emotional dip, the strange emptiness, the moment where you realize that removing everything doesn't automatically build drive. And that's when I started questioning something bigger. Maybe the problem wasn't that I had too much dopamine. Maybe the problem was that I didn't understand it at all. And what I discovered after that completely changed how I see focus, discipline, and motivation. So I started digging deeper, not into productivity influencers, not into motivational reels. I wanted to understand what dopamine actually does. And the first thing that shocked me was this. Dopamine isn't pleasure. It's anticipation. It's the signal that pushes you toward something. It's the chemical that says, this might be worth it. Move. Which means if you remove all stimulation, you don't become disciplined. You reduce signals. That realization hit me hard because during my detox, I wasn't just cutting distractions. I was cutting small reward loops. No music while working, no small breaks, no light entertainment at night, no variation. Everything became neutral, flat. And when everything feels neutral, your brain doesn't get excited to pursue anything. That's when I realized the real issue wasn't dopamine. It was cheap dopamine. There's a difference. Scrolling endlessly gives you fast, unpredictable rewards. New post, new video, new hit, new hit, new hit. Your brain loves unpredictability. It's the same reason slot machines are addictive. not because they pay out every time, but because they might. And social media works the same way. But here's where I misunderstood everything. I thought the solution was zero stimulation, but the real problem was uncontrolled stimulation. See, when you constantly consume easy rewards, your brain starts comparing everything else to that speed. Deep work feels slow. Reading feels slow. Learning feels slow. Not because they're boring, but because they're delayed. And my detox didn't fix that comparison. It just removed both sides. No cheap stimulation, but also no structured reward. So my brain sat there waiting for something meaningful to chase. And that's when I had another uncomfortable thought. Maybe I wasn't addicted to dopamine. Maybe I was addicted to convenience. Scrolling is easier than building. Watching is easier than creating. Consuming is easier than struggling through hard tasks. And my brain had simply learned the easiest path. That's not damage. That's adaptation. Biology always chooses efficiency. So the problem wasn't that my brain was broken. The problem was that I trained it to expect instant feedback. When I removed everything cold turkey, I didn't retrain it. I just left it empty. And emptiness doesn't automatically create discipline. Structure does. That's when I stopped trying to eliminate dopamine and started asking a different question. What if the goal isn't less dopamine, but better dopamine? That question changed everything for me. What if the goal isn't to starve your brain, but to retrain it? Because the more I observed myself, the more I realized something simple. My brain wasn't craving pleasure. It was craving progress. But I had trained it to look for progress in the wrong places. A new notification feels like progress. A new message feels like movement. A new video feels like discovery. It's artificial momentum. So instead of removing dopamine, I tried something different. I started delaying it. I told myself, you can scroll, you can watch something, you can relax, but only after something hard is done, not before. And something interesting happened. Work started feeling different, not instantly, but slowly. When I finished a deep work session and then allowed myself 20 minutes of guilt-free entertainment, it felt earned. It felt clean, not impulsive. That small shift rewired more than the detox ever did, because now dopamine wasn't random. It was attached to effort. And the brain loves patterns. If effort consistently leads to reward, motivation builds naturally. That's when I understood something most detox advice ignores. You don't build discipline by removing rewards. You build discipline by controlling when rewards happen. There's a huge difference. During detox, I tried to live like a monk in a world designed for stimulation. But I don't live in a monastery. I live in a digital world. So the real skill isn't elimination, it's regulation. I also noticed something else. When I reduced cheap stimulation during the day, hard tasks started feeling slightly more interesting. Not exciting, but tolerable. And tolerance is underrated. You don't need to love deep work. You just need it to stop feeling unbearable. And that happens when your brain isn't constantly comparing it to instant hits. So instead of zero dopamine, I built tiers. Cheap dopamine, limited and delayed. Neutral dopamine, music, conversation, small breaks, controlled. Meaningful dopamine, gym progress, finishing projects, learning, prioritized. Suddenly, I wasn't fighting my brain, I was working with it. And for the first time, focus didn't feel forced, it felt trained. That's when it clicked. The detox wasn't useless. It showed me how dependent I had become, but it wasn't the solution. Because discipline isn't about living in silence forever. It's about deciding what deserves your stimulation and what doesn't. But here's the part nobody likes to admit. Even after I understood all this, I still slipped. There were days I went back to old patterns, ticked up my phone without thinking, watched something random before starting work, delayed a hard task for something easier. And instead of blaming dopamine, I started paying attention to timing. Every time I escaped into quick stimulation, it was before something uncomfortable, before starting a difficult project, before sending a risky message, before doing something that could fail. It wasn't about pleasure, it was about avoidance. That realization was uncomfortable because it meant the problem wasn't my brain chemistry. It was my relationship with discomfort. Cheap dopamine is attractive because it removes tension instantly. Hard work creates tension first. Scrolling relieves it. Building requires you to sit in it. And most of us haven't trained that muscle. So instead of asking, how do I remove dopamine? I started asking, can I sit with discomfort for 5 more minutes? Not an hour, just 5 minutes. 5 minutes before opening the app. 5 minutes before switching tasks. 5 minutes of staying with the hard thing. That tiny practice did more for my focus than any detox ever did. Because discipline isn't extreme, it's incremental tolerance. I also stopped demonizing enjoyment. If I wanted to watch something, I watched it intentionally. If I wanted to scroll, I set a timer. When it was deliberate, it didn't control me. When it was unconscious, it did. That difference is everything. Most people think they lack motivation, but motivation isn't missing. It's just constantly hijacked. Your brain will always move toward what feels rewarding. The question is, what have you trained it to find rewarding? If the most rewarding thing in your day is random scrolling, of course deep work feels impossible. But if finishing a hard task consistently leads to relief, pride, progress, your brain adapts. It always adapts. That's the hopeful part. You're not broken, you're conditioned. And conditioning can be changed, slowly, intentionally, without extreme rules, without pretending you live in a cave. The goal isn't to remove dopamine from your life. It's to design your environment so effort becomes meaningful again. And once effort feels meaningful, focus stops feeling like punishment. It starts feeling like power. By the end of that week, I understood something that honestly humbled me. I wasn't struggling because I had too much dopamine. I was struggling because I had no boundaries. There's a big difference. When everything is available all the time, entertainment, distraction, stimulation, your brain never has to wait. And waiting is where strength is built. Dopamine detox made me aware, but awareness without a system fades. So I built something simple. No phone for the first hour after waking up. Hard task before any entertainment. Entertainment scheduled, not random. Sleep protected like a priority, not an afterthought. Nothing extreme. No monk mode, no disappearing from society, just structure. And here's what surprised me most. The goal stopped being productivity. It became clarity. When you're not constantly pulled by microstimulation, your thoughts slow down. You start noticing what actually matters. You start choosing instead of reacting. That's the real win. Not superhuman focus, not 12-hour work sessions, just control. Because the scariest thing isn't dopamine, it's unconscious behavior. When you don't choose what you consume, it chooses you. When you don't design your environment, it designs you. And once I saw that clearly, I stopped blaming apps. I stopped blaming algorithms. I stopped blaming my brain. I started taking responsibility for my inputs. Your brain will always chase reward. That's not weakness, that's biology. But you decide what reward means. If reward equals scrolling, you'll scroll. If reward equals progress, you'll build. It's not instant. It's not dramatic. It's slow rewiring, but it works. And maybe the biggest lesson I learned is this. You don't need to eliminate dopamine to fix your focus. You need to respect it because dopamine isn't your enemy, it's your engine. And once you learn how to steer it, you stop feeling controlled by the world around you. You start feeling in control of yourself. Now, when I hear someone say, I need a dopamine detox, I understand what they really mean. They don't want less pleasure, they want more control. They're tired of opening apps without thinking, tired of starting things and not finishing them, tired of feeling busy but not progressing. I was there too. But here's the truth I wish someone told me earlier. Extreme resets feel powerful, but sustainable systems feel transformative. You can lock your phone away for a week, you can delete every app, you can sit in silence and call it discipline, but if you don't change how you respond to discomfort, the old patterns quietly return. Because the real battle was never against dopamine, it was against impulse, against the urge to escape the moment something feels hard. And that battle isn't won by removing stimulation, it's won by increasing awareness. Now, when I feel the urge to scroll before starting work, I notice it. I don't panic, I don't shame myself, I just pause. That pause is everything. It's small, almost invisible, but inside that pause is choice, and choice is power. The internet made dopamine sound like a villain, but dopamine helped you learn to walk, helped you chase owls, helped you fall in love with progress. It's not the enemy. Unconscious consumption is. So if you're struggling with focus right now, I don't think you're weak. I think you're overstimulated and understructured. There's a difference. You don't need to erase pleasure from your life. You need to earn it more often than you escape into it. That shift changes everything. Because once your brain connects effort to reward consistently, motivation stops feeling random. It becomes predictable. And predictable motivation is freedom. So no, I don't believe in dopamine detox the way it's sold online. I believe in intentional dopamine. I believe in delayed gratification. I believe in building tolerance for discomfort. And most of all, I believe your brain is adaptable. It always has been. The question isn't, how do I remove dopamine? The question is, what am I teaching my brain to chase every single day? Because whatever you chase consistently, you become.